Welcome back to another episode of the DJ Sessions presents the On Location Sessions, coming to you from ADE in Amsterdam 2023. I'm your host, Darren, and right now we're sitting on our On Location houseboat on the canals of Amsterdam with none other than Ross Harper. Ross, thanks for coming on the show today.
Oh, a pleasure to be here, Darren. So nice to be back.
Absolutely. It was a great time meeting you last year. Definitely you've been up to a lot of awesome stuff. We're going to get into that right now. Tell us about the Dark album remixes.
Wow, okay. It's been a really intense, heavy year. The Dark album went out at the end of 2022, got picked up by Charlotte DeWitty, picked up by Richie Hawtin, and played in quite a few venues around the world. And I was like really humbled by that, you know. And then I was like, okay, well, I'm connected to a lot of very talented producers through my radio show. I do a monthly new music radio show on ADE, based in Deptford, South London, which is like a community station. But I pick up a lot of promos from underground artists, a lot of up-and-coming talent, and some more developed talent as well. And I was like, look, I'm friendly with all of these producers. Let's just roll out some remixes. And I was actually inspired by Solomon, who did 7 volumes of remixes for his last album. And I was like, you know what? If Solomon can do it, I can do it as well.
There you go. You know, it's about friendly competition, you could say.
Right,
you know, if somebody can do it, I can do that
right,
too.
right.
You know, you're not necessarily copycatting. It's just, wow, what an idea. Maybe I didn't think about that. You know, maybe a collaboration with somebody would be awesome. You miss 100% of the shots you never take.
Right.
You know,
right.
and you never know who's going to be at the end of that chat room or that conversation, or whose track you might play, who you might find that gold gem. And they're like, I didn't know my song played on that radio show.
Right.
Well, thank you so much for dropping my track. I really appreciate that.
Right.
You know, the collaboration. And that's what the spirit of ADE is really about.
Sure.
Is meeting and collaborating people. How has your ADE been going for you so far?
Oh, it's been brilliant, Darren. Just on the point you made about Solomon, I really admire Solomon. You know, I think I imitate the people I really admire, and I love the way the guy is so human and so natural, and he just plays music that he loves, and it's like a magnet to people. So yeah, he's close to my heart. And what you said about connecting with other artists and then it developing into something more, you know, a perfect example is this guy Humanoid Gods, who's based in Turin. I played a few of his tracks on my show. I asked him for a remix, and then he invited me over to check out his studio in Turin, and I popped there a few weeks ago, and we went to an underground techno party together. And so yeah, things just blossom from taking those little steps, you know. And but my ADE's just been incredible, absolutely incredible. Just like full on, like literally straight into the Drum Code pop-up shop yesterday, thumping techno, free drinks. And
Can't beat the free drinks at ADE, open bar. That got me in trouble last year.
Yeah, it's awesome, right? And then just networking after networking, met so many beautiful people. And I took a different approach this year. I really skipped around lots of locations, even just in the first day, right? Whereas last year I kind of like was going a bit slower, sitting in some of the talks. This year I was like, no, I'm just going to like dip in here, dip in there, see who I meet here, see who I meet there. And I think that is actually, for me, a more productive way of working.
Yeah, last year we went back to back interviews, and I just kind of felt a little burnt out. And this year we kind of paced ourselves and set it up a little bit different. Going to check out some of the sites, obviously, you know, working Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, and then, you know, Friday night party, Saturday night party, you know, all the fun stuff getting out there. Are you playing any shows here at ADE?
Well, yeah, I've got a residency in the Clink Nord Hostel where I'm doing 3 sets. I did an opening set yesterday, and I've got another one Friday evening, and then a closing set on Sunday. And they're now a registered ADE venue, which is very cool. And they've been putting on, it's really grown there this year. They've had a EDM.com mixer yesterday. and that was really cool. Lots of nice people, and so that's my base. And then I've got a very underground, very cool private gig in the NDSM Industrial District on Saturday night. It's an all-night party celebrating the Dark album. Just like 80 or so people in a nice dark space with the red lights and a good techno sound system. Yeah.
Nice. You mentioned EDM.com. I actually met the co-founder last year at an event that I was at. It happened to be that only media that showed up was the DJ sessions, EDM.com, and one other person. They were expecting like 40, 50 people to show up to this it was a Relentless Beats production. They're out of Phoenix, Arizona. Well, I guess they're out of all over the place, but they throw shows in Phoenix, Arizona at the Raceway there. Right. And I met the co-founder, and then I actually last year ran into him backstage here at ADE. Nice. So EDM.com, great crew, great team over there of people. I'm sure that must have been a really awesome party. And was that open bar?
Yeah, there was open bar to begin with, and then it dried up after a while.
Awesome. Well, in addition to getting out and seeing the shows, unfortunately, the only thing I got to see last year was a presentation, and just by the nick of our pants, we got in because we're media. It was a Carl Cox presentation.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, and we managed to get in. There was like 6 seats left to the thing, of like a room full of 120 people.
Wonderful.
And Carl was talking about how he was reinventing his sound again, or reinventing his technique again, which was interesting just to be in that room, be 50 feet away from him, out of all the presentation. But there's so many great people here, so much to see and do. Sure. Is there anything that really is striking your fancy that stands out to you that you gotta say, I gotta get to? This is what I've been looking forward to all year long.
I really have stayed away from heavy planning. So like yesterday, I 2 people said I'm going to 9x9, and then I got an email from E1 Club in London saying, 9x9 is playing in a few weeks' time, and I was like, wow, that's 3 things that have said 9x9 to me in one day, and he's playing tonight in Gashalder, so that's where I went, right? So I'm just really keeping very open and following where the kind of energy seems to take me, and that's the vibe for me this year.
Speaking about where the vibe and energy takes you, one of the things I love about Amsterdam that I don't get this really at home too much is all the little nook and cranny restaurants that are around. Food. Tell us about your obsession with food. Do you like the food here in Amsterdam? Do you find good restaurants here? Do you have anywhere that really stands out to you?
I'm with you. I just love experimenting and finding like a little cafe bistro by a canal somewhere, and then trying some local cuisine. That really just grounds me. And I think eating local cuisine, food itself, if we think about the kind of just the really basic mechanics of what it is, right? It's what keeps us grounded. It keeps us alive. It keeps our feet on the earth. And somewhere like this where it's very hectic energy, it's very easy to get caught up in like a whirlwind, and before you know it, it's like you haven't eaten for 12 hours. So just to kind of tap into that local cuisine and meet some of the Dutch, and that's great. But I love cooking. I love cooking myself, and even in a foreign country, if I can, if I'm in an Airbnb or something, I'll make sure I cook some of my own meals as well, right? Because again, I find it very grounding to cook for myself, and at home, I love cooking. I love putting all of my thoughts and anxieties and everything that's going on in my head and my emotions, they all go in the cooking pot, right? And they all kind of then get like digested and boiled down, and I find it really therapeutic. I
look at it like a chemistry set. I always wanted to own that chemistry set as a kid, but then I found out later in life spices, and my spice rack became the chemistry set. And my spice drawer. I love cooking. I mean, if you go to my Instagram And people were like, I think one of my virtual assistants came along one time. He was analyzing my Instagram. He's like, there isn't really that much electronic music information here. There's more food pictures here than there are electronic music information. But I go, I know, I'm a little bit of a foodie. I love food. I love cooking. The thing is, I'm Italian, part Italian.
Okay.
I don't know how to cook for one person.
Right.
When I make food, I have to cook. It's like 6 to 10 people is the amount of food that I make. And people are like, you eat so much food. You make so much food. What do you do with all this food? I'm like, well, I save it. I mean, I eat what I eat, and then I save it later on. Like, I'm prepping. I'm meal prepping here, folks.
Right,
you prep for a show. You prep your DJ set. You pick your mixes. But you never know what the outcome's going to be. You're working with it, and I just kind of like go with the flow when I'm in the kitchen. Really love it. I mean, I have my standard spice set, but you know what I love?
Go on.
My sous vide.
Okay. What's a sous vide?
So basically, it's a technique where you put the device in the water. And you got a pot of water. Right. So you take a steak or chicken or fish. Okay. And let's say you want your steak perfectly medium rare, 135 degrees. Yeah. Perfectly rare. Right. Boom. You put it in your bag, vacuum packed bag. Put your spice in there. Set it for an hour and a half. It cooks it to 135. You pull it out and go. Grill it on each side. Boom, done. Chicken, perfectly done. Fish, perfectly done. Okay. Perfectly done. So it was a technique that restaurants used to pick up on. Right. I don't know if they do sous vide that much anymore in restaurants. Perfect every time. Wow. I mean, you can do vegetables if you want. You can do vegetarian sous vide, but you cook kind of crock pottish, but not really crock pottish. Wow. But, yeah, I just my sous vide is the best. The best. Can't get enough of that. Nice. But, the joy of cooking food, how does that parallel to making music for you?
Yeah, okay. So making a good techno track is like cooking a good dish, right? You think about the different ingredients that are going in. It's alchemy, it's the combining of raw elements to come up with something that's greater than the whole, So yeah, cooking and music production, for me, I see many parallels. And you need to have like a good something to, like a foundation for a dish, right? And it's the same with a track. What's going to stand out? Is it going to be the kick drum? Is it going to be some lead sound? Is it going to be some monster bass line? And then same with cooking, right? You're going to have something that's the main kind of hit of the dish, but then you need other things around it to bring the flavors and the excitement, and so there's many parallels, and to DJing as well. Actually, a good DJ set is going to have many different ingredients to it. If you just have the same style sound over and over again, that can really kill an energy and variation, and but also that kind of solid focus point is important. Yeah.
and speaking of, like, if you were a culinary wizard or a chef and you had a restaurant, your monthly residency, talk to us about that. Where do you cook up those beats at and play them and drop them on the floor for the audience?
The beautiful thing about a residency is the freedom to experiment, right? Because in my hometown Brighton, we've got this party, the Lucis Phenomena, which was founded by a guy called Yesh. He's a DJ too, DJ Florence, and he brought this party from Manchester in the north of England down to Brighton in the south, and then he kind of picked up on what I was doing, and he was like, oh, this guy Ross is everywhere, I've got to get him on my team, kind of thing. So he invited me to be the resident. And we've just created this space in the last year where people know they're going to get something. Like the ethos is, it's a party where people, when they leave, they know they've experienced something that's completely next level, right? That's the kind of unique selling point. Is this isn't a party where you might go and it might just be like mediocre music and everyone might have had an okay time. The focus is for it to be a party where people have gone like out of body experience because of the music, because that's what music can do. Like both myself and the founder know the power of music to take people way into another place, right? And there's so many parties where sadly that just doesn't happen. So So the ethos is to do that, and the beauty of having a residency is just to be able to say, right, okay, I'm gonna drop this tech house track in the middle of this techno set and see what happens, and I'm going to play grooves on 4 decks that, you know, things might go out of time, but these guys are going to stick with me, right, because they're like my family. So that's the beauty of a residency, is the space to make mistakes and the space to experiment, which is
definitely. And speaking of experimenting and doing new things, have you looked at doing anything in virtual reality yet?
Ooh, I tried virtual reality at IMS, the Ibiza Music Summit, in April this year. It wasn't quite there. I might have moved on in the last 6 months. I had I think some glove on and a visor, and I was trying to reach out for the platter, and it was not quite giving me the sensitivity I wanted. And then I was trying to hit the Q button, and it was a little bit kind of shaky, and I was like, oh, I can't quite get this. I guess, you know, practice and sticking with it would be something. But I know there's this thing here, and it's not actually, I don't think even it's DJ related, but it's in the NES 42, where there's one of our spaces in ADE, and it's like a giant bubble, and you go into the giant bubble, and you're connected with someone else in a giant bubble, so anywhere in the world, and you're literally. Sounds quite.
I gotta check this out.
Sounds quite dangerous.
Yeah,
right?
I gotta check this out now. That's where is that again?
Is it NES 49?
NES 49.
Near the link. Near the link.
Okay.
Yeah. And I kind of had a laugh with the lady as she was telling me about it. I was like, yeah, I can see where this could go quite quickly.
Well, I saw something. It was a couple years ago. Carl Cox, I'd been invited by his management to go into, and it was like a room you could go into virtually, but as you kind of moved yourself virtually around the room. Now, it wasn't virtual reality, but let's say we're on a 2D screen, and you're a dot and I'm a dot. But as we moved my dot over here, I would move away from this conversation over here, and this conversation would get quieter, but this conversation would get louder.
Okay.
So if you and I are over here talking in a corner, and then somebody comes over, he'd get quieter over there, but then I'd come over here, and now you'd be able to hear what you and I are talking about. Sort of like a virtual conference, if you think about it. We're all in this room together, but you have spatial audio.
And you're wearing one of these visors?
You didn't have to wear a visor, no.
Okay.
It was just a 2D image on the screen. It was very interesting, but you could actually move around the room, kind of talk and chat with people.
Right.
You put 50, 60 people in a room together, and then, like I said, if I moved away from you, you'd get quieter, but this conversation would get louder.
Right.
It was very, very interesting. Kind of like a networking tool of anything, you know, which was awesome. I think what we're going to see come out with technology, especially virtual reality over the next few years, it's going to be phenomenal. It still has to catch on because there's not one key signature platform yet. You know, you have Meta with Horizons, you have VR chat. Microsoft just closed down AltSpace in March, which was it totally killed our nightclub. But we have a nightclub in virtual reality called Beta in VR chat. But there's all these different platforms, and not one of them has emerged as the forefront, the forerunner. And as artists start to get involved in these platforms, I think you're going to start seeing more of the commercialization of them, more popularity of them. But very exciting to be in a VR space. We're going to wrap it up here really quickly. Is there anything else you want to let our DJ Sessions fans know about before we let you get back to this wonderful event called ADE out here?
Wow, yeah. Well, I wanted to talk a bit more about Brighton, my hometown. You know, I grew up in London. I spent the first 20 years of my life in London. And I love London. I love the power of London and everything that's going on there, the club scene. But this little town, where it's a city, it became a city about 15 years ago, drew me away from London. I just felt like I had to be there, right? And I don't know if anyone's ever been to Camden Town in North London. It's like a big hippie kind of. The punks used to hang out there, and now it turned into kind of hippie zone. And Brighton is like Camden Town by the sea, okay? And it draws artists. There's artist open houses and a yearly art kind of conference. And but what I'm finding really exciting, not only is the techno scene really blossoming and we're seeing many artists supporting one another and building one another up, but we're also seeing this very interesting, what I would call like consciousness revolution, where there's a lot of sober raves happening. So maybe even like twice a week there's sober parties where people are just going and dancing to electronic music, no drugs, no drink, maybe doing like a cacao ceremony to begin with, or some kind of meditation to begin with, and then they're just getting lost in the music. We're seeing new moon circles, full moon circles, more yoga teachers than people. There's something really interesting happening in Brighton, right? And it feels very unique. And so I just wanted to shout that out to your listeners, that if they want to experience a really alternative culture, then Brighton's a great place to visit.
What's the population of Brighton right now?
Now you're testing me, Darren. I'm gonna put I know it's more than 100,000.
Okay.
But I think it's less than 200,000.
Okay.
We've got 2 universities. We've got Brighton University and Sussex University. Okay. So there's loads of young people, right? The streets are just drenched with young people kind of experimenting with their look and their vibe, and yeah, it's just a beautiful place. It's a really unique, beautiful place.
Awesome. I would love to visit there someday.
Oh, you'd be most welcome.
Awesome.
Yeah,
Thank you so much,
guest.
Ross. And where can people find out more information about you and what you got going on?
Well, the best place, my shop front's Instagram, so Ross Harper Music, so just Ross Harper Music, and they can connect with me there. Send me a DM, ask me a question, I love chatting on DMs, yeah.
Awesome. That's the Instas. You got a TikTok as well?
I'm not a TikToker.
I'm not a TikTok. I should be a TikToker.
Right.
I don't TikTok enough. Right. I don't X enough.
Right.
Meta's my kind of platform. They're all changing their names now.
They are, aren't they? They are.
Now, and what's the other one? The new one that they just launched too. Oh, come on. It's the new Facebook one. It's
Threads.
Threads. Thank you.
Oh, man.
Threads.
Everyone was just like, whoo, and then everyone was like, use it once.
Sorry, Matt. Not trying to throw you guys and team under the bus, but Mark. I should say Mark, not Matt.
Right,
Mark. You're all good. Well, Ross, thank you so much for coming on the show. We're definitely going to follow up with you, get you virtual sessions, and have you on the show for a longer interview here in the near future. Looking forward to it. And you have a wonderful ADE.
Thank you, Darren. Yeah,
you're welcome.
Thank you for having me on your show again. It's always a pleasure.
Absolutely. Until we'll see you before next year in the virtual sessions, but see you next year here at ADE as well.
Awesome, yeah. And if you ever fancy visiting Brighton, then, hit me up.
Definitely will. Okay. Thank you so much.
All right. Bless you, man.
You're welcome. Don't forget to go to our website, thedjsessions.com. Find us on Meta, X, TikTok, Instagram. We're out there everywhere. But our website is the best place to go, thedjsessions.com. Over 600 news stories, exclusive interviews, live interviews, guest mixes, and more at thedjsessions.com. Tell a friend. Go there. Go there now, right now. Go there. If you're not watching the show there, go there. This is Darren and Ross Harper coming to you for the DJ Sessions presents the On Location Sessions at ADE 2023. And remember, on the DJ Sessions, the music never stops.